The idea that the Jewish doctors were evil and they were doing experiments on people without their consent, the ugly Jewish doctors. How many people heard the stories about the doctors who allegedly are now in our system that are from the Middle East that are going to kill you rather than save you? How many have heard about that? See, all of these little myths being spun around are similar to the ones that happened prior to World War II. So, what we're looking at, I think, is we're looking at right on the precipice of the next World War, if we're not in the World War already. Go ahead.
Would you say it's a psychological operation, a PSYOP?
I don't know.
Absolute?
I don't know if it's a psychological operation more than it is a psychological loop. That we as a people do not pay attention to history, and we're so fucking afraid to call a spade, to call a fucking moron in Washington a fucking Adolf Hitler, that this is going to happen again, and we're the ones that are going to have blood on our hands for it. That is what worries me.
I agree.
That is what worries me.
In the House of Congress this week, a Hindu guy, priest, got up to make the invocation, which is another word for conjuring. 3 Christian right-wingers got up in the House of Representatives and freaked out, and they had to be escorted out of the building. You know, I watch it every morning, the House of Representatives. I watch them what they debate, and that's the first time I ever saw a Hindu go up there to make the invocation to their God. And
right.
These people were freaking out. We won't bow to any false gods. Right in the House of Representatives.
Well, that's hypocritical, too, because, they go and they dance naked in front of that fucking owl every year. Moloch, let's hear it for Moloch. A big hand for Moloch, the great owl god.
And that was all less than 24 hours ago.
Oh, really? Did it happen yesterday?
Yeah, I missed
it.
Really? I couldn't make it down.
Oh, you missed your opportunity?
I'd love to go.
Okay.
Yeah,
so it happened yesterday?
Well, yeah, the crystallization of these plans. I'm sure they had the final conference. Talking about it this week and last week.
Oh,
sure.
shit.
And that's
I
where
didn't know that.
They're meeting there.
So they met 24 hours ago?
Well, they had the cremation of cares last night. And
the cremation of care was last night.
And this week they're talking...
so people, pay attention to what he's saying. The cremation of care happened last night. For those of you that don't know what that is, it's where they take an effigy of a child and they burn it at the foot of an owl called Molech. And they all dance around naked in their robes, and they basically jerk off and do all kinds of things to get their magic wands up and wet and willing, and they blow their loads all over this thing, and then they call it good. And this is a sex magic ritual, and it's done every year at Bohemian Grove, and some of our people, like President Bush and others, attend this little ritual.
Not some. Most of the major corporate and political leaders on this planet meet there and discuss our fate, our
Exactly.
future.
And see, the cremation of care is actually the idea that whatever we do, we don't care. That's why we burn this little kid, is because it's our way of saying whatever comes next doesn't matter. See, when we burn 3,000 people in 2 buildings in New York, that is the cremation of care. It's the sacrifice of 3,000 people for the greater good, and that greater good is the military-industrial complex storming into the Middle East, storming into other countries, creating this new Cold War that we're in the middle of right now, and one big bend over and get fucked from our government to you. Remember, it's not blue state, it's not red state, it's the state versus you, and you're caught in the crosshairs at ground zero. Remember that. Go ahead, Glenn.
Several months ago, I suggested that at this time we do a ceremony here in the flame pit over there. We didn't get around to doing that, but could you tell them about the Twin Towers and the blow-up airplane thing?
The Twin Towers and the blow-up airplane thing?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Several years ago, I believe it was here.
Where I talked about
what reenactment of 9/11. I was in
the party that I did where I shoved the plate into the.
That's it.
Well, yeah, I did a party here at Dante's where we had 2 little twin towers, and we did our own little ritual where we took a plane. It was a big inflatable plane. We hung it from there. We threw it at the buildings. And I remember I got a write-up saying it's the tasteless party gag they ever went to, but they said it was funny. They laughed. I thought, yeah, of course it's funny because it's getting to the point now where it is funny. It's funny and it's sad at the same time, and we're going to amuse ourselves to death laughing over how funny it really is. George W. Bush himself was laughing after it happened, looking under places for those weapons of mass destruction. He couldn't find them, and yet he made it a big joke. Yet all these soldiers are dying every day. How we're running out of our resources for this war. How they're arguing over whether or not they're going to send them home or bring them back. Send them home, bring them back, send them out, bring them back, send them out. They don't know what they're going to do. And, I was reading in the paper today something very, very interesting. Did you know that they're going to create Christian action figures and they're going to sell them at Toys R Us? Did you hear about this? Boo. No, they have a new Samson doll that they're coming out with. And the funny thing is they were saying something to the effect, well, it's kind of ballsy for the Christians to want to sell these toys right there next to Star Wars characters and everything else. And they said it's also pretty weird because all kids today don't want Jesus toys. They want fucking Transformers. So I figured, why don't you beat it with one stone? If you have Transformer dolls, maybe you could have a Satan doll transform into the Pope. And how about a Jesus and Mary Magdalene doll turning into Victoria and Beckham? What do you think of that fucking shit, man? You saw that? Have you seen that on TV? My God, go ahead.
Well, if you still have your Planet of the Apes action figures from the 70s, like Dr. Zaius and Cornelius and all that, well, now you've got the prisoners you can capture. Remember the Planet of the Apes that captured the humans who couldn't speak. So
right.
Now you can play the whole thing now. You got the apes, now you got the Christian figures.
Put them all together and you got something. Yeah, the Victoria and Beckham thing, doesn't this actually bring everything into perspective again? Remember when I was bitching up here about royalty and how we all are longing for that royalty in our lives again? And how Princess Diana is like, she's all over the place. And I said Angelina Jolie. And oh, you want to say something?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I said, how about a Prince William doll that morphs into the Antichrist?
Ooh. Yeah. He just turns his head. He shapeshifts into a little reptile. But you take a look at what's going on with Posh Spice and Beckham. They get out of a limo and man, so much paparazzi for the rival of these people. He's just a fucking soccer player, for Christ's sake. And she was in a goddamn band called the Spice Girls that looked like a bunch of fucking Craigslist hookers. I mean, come on, people. This is not royalty, but yet we want it so badly, we're going to make it look like... I mean, they're putting Posh Spice everywhere. Victoria's being on every show. The Tonight Show. She's on Conan. They put her on the Today Show, and all she does is stand there and kind of like does this. Well, it's very good to be here. I'm going to go see Harry Potter or something. And it's like, and not only that, but Harry Potter. Harry Potter's everywhere. This guy's on TV everywhere. We want to be British. Don't you think we want to be British? I think we want to be British. I think that when the Queen came here, she signed a proclamation saying, you're all going to be British. Ha, 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 ha. We are. We are because of the fact that we're disenchanted with our government. It's the idea that our government is so bad, that the Democrats are so bad, that the Republicans are so bad. Fuck Ron Paul. He's not going to be president. Give up. We're going to have... I like that. I like that you laughed at that. The king and the queen of the world are going to rule this country and all the other countries that they're going to rule over it. Just like the Bilderbergers predicted, just like it's happening on TV, it's happening right now. It's happening now. And all this stuff is transpiring, and we were talking about it beforehand here at the lounge. And I remember the night I said that we would be so disenfranchised that we would go back to being British. I swear I saw everybody in the room just kind of like shake their heads and go, oh, my God. Oh, my God. And then, of course, there was Vermont that wanted us to secede from the Union and go back to becoming British subjects anyway, right?